Hi, my name is McKinley Grant, and I chose my pioneer to be Lev Vygotsky. He was known for social interaction and cultural context, which are crucial for cognitive development. Vygotsky was born on November 17th, 1896, in Russia. He was born into a well-educated and culturally rich Jewish family. His his father was a banker and played an active role in his community. And his mother was an educated woman that stayed at home and cared for the children. She was also partially responsible for Leb's early education. He spent most of his childhood in the city of Gomel. Can't really pronounce that, I'm sorry. Where his family moved after he was born. That place was a culturally diverse city, and he had a lot of influences from that city. Um, he also valued education. He was given a whole bunch of books, and he contributed, which contributed to his intellectual development. We will come to find out that a lot of what his parents had to do in his early childhood and early life will have a huge influence on where he ended up. So, for his early professional and personal life, for education, Vygotsky first studied law at Moscow University, where he enrolled in 1913. In addition to law, he took courses in philosophy, history, and literature, reflecting his wide ranging interest. After graduating in 1917, he returned to his hometown of Gomel, where he began teaching and writing. For his personal life, in 1924, Vygotsky married Rosa, a woman from Gomel. I'm assuming that's how you say that. I'm so sorry. Together, they had two daughters. His family life was said to be loving and supportive, although his professional commitments and declining health were constant challenges. For his employment, Vygotsky worked as a teacher, lecturer, and writer. He taught literature, psychology, and philosophy at local schools and educational institutions. During this time, he also published literacy critiques and essays, which demonstrated his deep interest in language and culture. In the early 1920s, Vygotsky moved to Moscow and began working at the Institute of Psychology. There, he started developing his groundbreaking theory of cognitive development, language, and learning. He collaborated with other influential psychologists, including Alexander Luria and Alexei Leon. I can't say that. I'm sorry. Helping to establish what later became known as the sociocultural theory of development. Vygotsky's life was cut short by tuberculosis, a disease he contracted as a young man. Despite struggling with his health for many years, he continued his research and writing until his death in 1934 at only the age of 37 years old. These are just a few photos I wanted to add of Vygotsky. Up there on the right corner and below that, you can see him teaching. It also has the date on there, which I can't really see it, but it's very early 1900s. In the middle, that would be one of his daughters, and over to the bottom right, that's his wife and both of his daughters. Up there on the top, if you look on the I don't know if that's him on the lower or the top left, but he is in that picture with a whole bunch of philosophers that inspired him. Vygotsky's career as an educational psychologist began in the early 1920s after he moved to Moscow. He worked at several research institutes, including the Moscow Institute of Psychology and the Institute of Defectology, which would be special education. I hope I said that right, sorry. His work focused on child development, learning, and the role of social and cultural factors in education. He was best known for developing the social cultural theory of cognitive development. This theory emphasized the idea that children learn through social interaction and cultural experiences. One of his most famous concepts is the zone of proximal development, which would be the gap the gap between what a child can do independently, what they can achieve with guidance and support from a more knowledgeable person, such as their teachers. Continued from the last slide, He also introduced the idea of scaffolding, which refers to the temporary support provided by adults or peers to help a learner accomplish a task until they can do it on their own. Additionally, Vygotsky studied the development of language and thought, arguing that language plays a critical role in cognitive development. He believed that children's learning is shaped by their cultural environment, including tools, language, and social interactions. On that bottom left, we've got the Moscow University that he attended. And on the right, we have the zone of proximal development that we were talking about that he developed. That inside circle is going to be things that learners can do themselves. That middle circle is going to be things that they can do with a little bit of help, and that outside circle is going to be things that they just can't learn unless they have some support. Although Vygotsky's work was not widely known outside the Soviet Union during his lifetime, he is now considered one of the most influential figures in educational psychology. His theories revolutionized how educators approach teaching and learning, especially in early childhood and special education settings. His work provided a foundation for collaborative learning, differentiated instruction, and student centered teaching strategies used in classrooms today. His ideas gained global recognition after his death when his works were translated into English during the 1960s and 1970s. Again, he is Russian. Today, Vygotsky is often mentioned alongside other major theorists like Piaget, but is unique for highlighting the importance of culture and social interaction in learning. So, these are just a few other philosophers that just so happen to influence Vygotsky. On the top left, we have Piaget. Although they worked independently and never collaborated, Piaget's work on cognitive development influenced Vygotsky's ideas. They were both focused on how children learn and develop thinking skills. Below him, we have Karl Marx. Although he's not a psychologist, Marx's social and economic theories had a significant influence on Vygotsky's view of human development. Vygotsky applied Marx's ideas about society, culture, and history to psychology. On the top right corner, we have Pavlov. He was a Russian psychologist and is best known for his work on classical conditioning. His scientific approach to studying behavior and learning processes influenced Vygotsky's interest in psychology and experimental methods. And on the bottom right, we have Alexander Luria. He was a student, colleague, and collaborator of Vygotsky. While he worked closely with Vygotsky rather than influencing his early ideas, he helped expand and apply Vygotsky's theories, particularly in neuropsychology and the study of language development. Lev Vygotsky's late life was marked by both significant professional achievements and ongoing struggles with his health. Despite battling tuberculosis, which he had contracted as a young adult, Vygotsky continued to work tirelessly on his research in psychology and education throughout the 1920s and early 1930s. Unfortunately, Vygotsky's health worsened due to his tuberculosis. He was often confined to his bed but continued writing and developing new ideas until the very end of his life. Lev Vygotsky passed away on June 11, 1934 in Moscow, Russia, at only the age of 37. Although he died relatively early, his legacy lived on through his students and colleagues who continued to develop and share his theories. His work remained largely unknown in the Western world until the 1960s, when it began to gain widespread recognition and became highly influential in the fields of education, psychology, and child development. Lev Vygotsky's work continues to have a powerful influence on modern teaching practices and educational theory. His ideas about how students learn and develop are widely used in classrooms today, making it important for teachers to be familiar with his contributions. One of Vygotsky's most important concepts is the zone of proximal development. This idea encourages teachers to provide instructional support or scaffolding to help students learn tasks they cannot yet complete on their own, but can achieve with guidance. This practice helps students build confidence and independence over time. Teachers today use scaffolding strategies such as modeling, asking guiding questions, using visual aid, and providing feedback to support student learning. Vygotsky also emphasized the importance of social interaction in learning. He believed that students learn best through collaboration with peers and adults. Modern classrooms often use group work, peer tutoring, class discussions, and cooperative learning activities that are rooted in Vygotsky's theory of social learning. Continued from the last slide. Additionally, Vygotsky's focus on language development as a tool for thinking and learning is important in today's classrooms, especially when working with young children, English language learners, and students with special needs. His ideas encourage teachers to create language rich environments and support communication skills as part of learning. Overall, it is important for teachers to be familiar with Vygotsky's work because it provides valuable strategies for supporting diverse learners, promoting student engagement, and creating collaborative and inclusive classrooms. His theories help educators understand how social, cultural, and environmental factors influence learning, allowing them to meet the needs of all students more effectively.